Okay, Brigitte. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions.
Yes.
And the first one, putting aside your roles and responsibilities for a moment, if you had to identify 2 qualities or values that serve you as a foundation in your decision making, what would they be?
The first one would be sincerity, and if I can qualify that, maybe sincerity and openness. I have sometimes, it has sometimes backfired on me when I've been open and simple. But I'm ready to pay that price because it's very little compared to all the positive that comes from meeting people openly. So besides from sincerity and openness, the other quality would be warmth, human warmth. And that is to meet people heart to heart. It sounds very crummy and maybe phony, but it's my lived reality. And I have worked in so many small villages where people are poor, where life is hard, but where they've had a lot of human warmth, and we have hugged and we have danced and we haven't been able to talk, but we have talked through our hearts, you can say. So that is also a quality that that can expose me to hurt, but again, it's worth it because it gives so much human positivity, if you can say so. So sincerity and warmth.
Beautiful. Now, step back into your role and responsibility. How have these qualities helped you as a leader or in a role that you currently have in your life as it relates to women and girls? And can you share a story or an experience?
I would like to share 2 stories and experiences. One is related to women and girls, and the other one is more general, but very powerful in my life. When I was living and working in Mozambique for 6 years, I was running a communication project, and we had worked very hard to get women engaged in the community radios. Some of the 60 community radios in Mozambique at the time had no women. Some had a few women, and few had a gender balance. There was only 1 or 2. So we decided to push and to advocate strongly to get more women engaged and to create a strong motivation and also open a debate and a conversation about it. We invited to a women's community radio festival. So 2 women from each of the 60 radios made up, 120 women, and we had 3 intense days of discussion. And at one time, in a break, an old woman came up to me and she took my arm and she asked, is it really true? And I said, what is true? And she said, is it really true that I have the same rights as a man? And she cried because she knew the answer. And that openness, she wouldn't have had to the big white project manager if I hadn't just been me, open and warm. And I've received many warm hugs in exchange for just being humans meeting humans. So that was a very strong, one of these key experiences in my life that I carry with me. The other one is when during that same period, I was a manager of 14-person staff, and I was considered, I had a high-level position in the UN, and I was considered somebody because I managed a lot of money. And I did that very openly in a very participatory way, and when we had staff meetings, all staff was invited. And the first time, people lost their jaws, if you can say that in English, because the cleaner and the messenger and the secretary, they were all there. And I said, but they don't need to be in the staff meeting. And I said, what? Aren't they staff? And out of this grew an enormous respect for me, because I was different. I was irritatingly different, but it felt good. So we had very wonderful teamwork, and I don't think we would have had that if I hadn't been simple, straightforward, sincere, and open.
Yes, I totally agree. Those are beautiful stories. Oh, they're very beautiful. Thank you so much. And now, what steps or actions would you like to incorporate into your life that will allow you to continue to nurture yourself and to strengthen these qualities in your role as a leader, particularly for women and girls? What steps do you already take, or would you like to take, that you use to nurture yourself and to strengthen these qualities?
The easy question is that I'm not sure I could do it any other ways. I am just that way. I can't be different.
But there must be something that you do, because it's very busy and you're very occupied doing all of this work. So, what do you do in your quiet time or in your free time? You know, how do you sustain yourself then?
Well, you will tell me whether you think it's silly what I'm saying, but I'm going to try. I grew up with a lot of love around me, and I have never doubted that I was loved, and I don't know if that is where my inner sources come from, but I have other people respond to me and say, where do you get that infatuable?
Infectious.
One that doesn't tire. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Other people ask me, where do you get that untiring and continuous source of energy and passion from? And I can just say, it comes from within. I'm born with it. I have a source that nurtures me. Actually, after I turned 60 a year ago, I decided to maybe do something more for myself, to be kinder and less hardworking. But I haven't actually done much to nurture myself. I thrive when I am in a group. I'm thinking of being in rural Zimbabwe with a group of farmers who have just planning to start a community radio. When I shook their hand, you could feel the hand was thick as leather from the hard work in the field. And when one of them was presenting something, he couldn't really read what he had written, so I gave him my reading glasses, and suddenly he could see, and he was so happy, and I said he could keep them, and it was like his birthday. He was so happy. But when I am with a group like that, and I share with them what I know, and I see their excitement and their happiness and their gratefulness, but also just their excitement about new worlds opening, I think that is where I get my energy from.
Wonderful. it's almost as if it's a calling, and as if you came to do this for the world, to do this for the community. So thank you very much.
I've never thought about it like that, but you will make me think.
Yeah, could be. And now for our last question.
Mm-hmm.
What qualities or values do you think are missing in the world today? And how can you as an individual or leader help to bring those qualities in the world? What would you offer yourself to do? Share an example.
The qualities that are missing in the world. Again, it may sound very simple, but sometimes the truth is very simple. Compassion is definitely one. It is just fully beyond my comprehension how people can wage wars, things like that. So, compassion and honesty, decency. I think it has a lot to do with a core of ethics that somehow is missing, where things just become games and business. And I think that we are missing women leaders. I know that, of course, there are women who are also tough, like the toughest men, but the emotional qualities, the understanding of reproduction, and all of the things that that make life function. I think that the world needs that very, very much. What would I do? I believe with many that what I can do is to try to live by those principles myself, to be a decent person, to be careful in my choices and respectful of the world around me, of the gift that I have been given, that I'm here. And then to share. When I was a young woman, I got a lot from more senior people. They helped me on my way, they advised me, they linked me to people, and I got a chance to live a very exciting life. Not always happy, not always easy, but a very wonderful life. And I spent quite a lot of time responding to letters from young people, especially young women, writing and saying, I want to be like you, what should I do? Or can you give me some advice? And even though I'm very busy, I always spend a lot of time on doing that. So to try to give back some of what I've gotten.
Beautiful. Well, this has been so lovely. Thank you so much, Birgitte.
Yes.
Yes, this is lovely.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for